Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blackberry Honey. This is episode 14, I believe. I took a week break, but gonna get back into it. Following Miss Ingrid's sudden departure the previous week, Lady Constance was once more left without a governess. While Lady Leonard posted an advertisement for a new governess in all the Shropshire newspapers, Lady Constance whiled away her time in the drawing room, playing the piano or flipping through her well-worn volumes of Sappho. Lady Constance, despite being a member of the upper echelons of society, had few interests in life beyond the piano and Sappho. It doesn't really sound like bad hobbies to have. Playing the piano and reading, it's pretty nice. Lorna knew Lady Constance was fond of the instrument, but she hadn't realized how proficient she was with it until one Tuesday morning. Lorna had been busy dusting the ornaments that lined one of the many luxuriant hallways in Bly when she heard the soft, plaintive strains of a piano melody drifting through the hall. The melody was emitting from the drawing room where Lady Constance took her lessons. The door was slightly ajar, allowing Lorena to see a small slither of the room beyond. Oh. Love Dream. Secret piano performance. There, tucked away in a corner, was the piano. Sitting on the stool by said piano, looking far softer and sweeter than usual, was Lady Constance. Compared to the piano, an imposing instrument made of rosewood, its ivory keys shining beneath the spring sunshine, Lady Constance seemed very small and slight indeed. That piano was large enough to crush the young lady, should it fall forwards, but she commanded it with apparent ease. Her eyes were half-lidded, her blonde hair falling over her shoulders. The sunlight caught in her long, luxuriant tresses so it shone like a halo. At that moment, she really did look angelic. Lorena paused. She stood by the entrance of the drawing room, struck dumb. She couldn't have moved even if she wanted to. Lady Constance had her under her spell. Unaware of Lorena's presence, the young girl continued to play. Her fingers danced across the white and black keys, confident and self-pure despite being so very small. Lorena hadn't realized Lady Constance, who so often scoffed and sneered at others, was capable of producing such beautiful music. Lorena didn't know what that song was, or who had composed it, but that didn't stop her from finding its haunting strings beautiful. Doubtless, it had been penned by one of the long-dead great men Lady Constance showed such disdain for, but even so, she played it with true conviction. For a few moments, time seemed to stand still. Even the particles of dust in the air froze. And yet, like all good things, it came to an end. The last note died in the air. It was wistful and melancholy, leaving behind only bittersweet memories of what had once been. Lady Constance paused for a few moments, her fingers suspended over the keys. Before she turned her head, her eyes narrowed. "I know you're there, maid." "We've been caught." "Ah!" Lorena jumped. How had Lady Constance known? She had been so very absorbed in her music, it seemed she had left the whole world behind her. But Lorena Constance's 5 senses were sharper than Lorena gave her credit for. Maybe it was because of her age. It's rude to eavesdrop on a lady when she's in the middle of rehearsal. So that had been a mere rehearsal, had it? What manner of music, then, could Lady Constance coerce from those ivory keys when she was playing a piece seriously? Lorena couldn't imagine it. "Well, don't just stand there dithering. I don't want to have a conversation across a door frame. Yes, of course. Lorena obediently opened the drawing room door and stepped inside. The minute Lorena entered the room, Lady Constance rounded on her. She looked more sullen and sulky than ever before. Why were you listening to me, maid? Oh, I'm not entirely sure. Good grief. Lady Constance rolled her eyes. You're even stupider than I thought. It's difficult to explain. I've never heard you play the piano before, so I was curious. I didn't know you were so talented. I never asked for your empty praise. But I meant every single word. I don't care if you meant every single syllable. What is the praise of a maid worth? I bet you don't even know what that song was. So she had summoned Lorena to the parlor to insult her, was it? Lorena supposed that was her lot in life, being a mere maid. But after hearing Lady Constance produce such pure music from the piano, she had thought... What had she thought? Now she was face to face with the girl. Lorena wasn't quite sure. If I've displeased you, miss, I apologize. It was rude for me to eavesdrop. Lorena gave Lady Constance a small curtsy. If that's all, I'll make myself scarce. Wait. Pardon? I never said you could go. Lorena froze, her fingers inches away from the door handle. Bro, she wants to get out of there. She straightened her back, steeled her resolve, and glanced back at the young lady. What did she want now? It was Liszt. I beg your pardon? The song I was playing? Liszt's Love Dream. Miss Adrienne taught me it. One of your previous governesses? Lorena had never met Miss Adrienne Spence before, but she'd heard the stories. According to Lottie, Miss Adrienne had been the only governess Lady Constance had been able to tolerate. Did you, like Miss Adrienne? Like her? What a foolish question. I loved her. Lorena stared. She couldn't help herself. She hadn't known Lady Constance could feel love. Lorena had assumed the young girl's heart was too withered for such intense emotions. But she'd been wrong. People can change. If Lady Constance couldn't feel love, the music she'd coaxed from the piano wouldn't have sounded so sweet, nor so sad. How long was Miss Adrienne your governess? Only 7 months. Almost as long as Miss ebi-hime then, but Lady Constance hadn't liked Miss ebi-hime at all. If you liked her so much, why'd she leave? Mother sent her away. But she's been struggling to find you a governess you can get along with for more than a week. Why would she get rid of a governess you actually liked? I think that was the problem. I liked Miss Adrienne too much. Is it possible to like your governess too much? Mother thought it was. She never said so, but I think she was jealous. Of your governess? I spent more time with Miss Adrienne than I did Mother. We were always playing the piano together. Mother can't play a single note, and I believe she felt left out. She thought Miss Adrienne was going to take her only daughter away from her, so she fired her. And how did you feel? How did you think I felt? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. It's fine. A stupid maid like you probably can't understand. Lady Constance frowned. She turned to the piano, idly tracing her fingers against the keys, but applied no pressure. Since Mother fired Miss Adrian, I've been through no less than 7 governesses. 7 governesses in 2 years? 20 months, to be more precise. Lorena wasn't sure whether she should be impressed or not. But surely not all of your governesses have been bad. I thought Miss Aime was rather sweet. But she wasn't Miss Adrian. Lady Constance scowled. She drew her fingers away from the keys and held them close against her chest. Aime tried to be Miss Adrian. She tried to be kind to me, to flatter me, to get on my good side. But it didn't work. I never wanted to be her friend, though she may have wanted to be mine. There would be no point anyway. Why not? Didn't you listen to me? Mother's awfully protective. If she fired Miss Adrian, she could easily fire anybody else. In the end, it's better not to get too attached. Lady Constance looked down at her knees. She sighed softly. The sound was every bit as wistful as her piano melody. Liszt's love dream. Lorna blinked. Maybe she'd finally begun to understand Lady Constance. Just a little. Was this why the young girl was so very aggressive towards her governesses and so rude to her maids? The governesses I could understand, because of the not getting attached thing, but I don't really understand the maid. I don't know. Maybe unless she's afraid of the maid being fired too. Was she simply afraid? Lady Leonard might have given Lady Constance everything she ever could want. Dolls to play with, beautiful clothes to wear, and delicious food to eat. But she couldn't give Lady Constance the one thing she needed. Companionship. Ridiculous. Lady Constance snorted and shook her head. Why am I telling you this anyway? I must be coming down with the fever. It has been rather cold during the nights. Some of the maids have been coughing a good deal. Lady Constance wrinkled her nose. I hope you haven't given me something. I'm sure it'll be all right, miss. I doubt it's anything serious. The 11th of May, Wednesday. I knew there was more to Lady Constance. But Lorena was wrong. Goodness, it's been so bitter lately you wouldn't think it was nearly summer. I feel like I'm going to freeze. As if to accentuate her point, Isabel sneezed. It was a dry, hacking cough that sounded rather painful. These blankets just aren't thick enough. We're all gonna catch hypothermia. My poor fingers are trembling so I'll never be able to thread a needle again. Or play the violin. Isabel frowned. I can't play the violin. Effie shrugged soundlessly. My mistake. Did I ask? Effie was the only one in the servants' quarters wholly unconcerned about these long, cold nights. She seemed much the same as ever, which was to say, she surveyed her surroundings with dispassionate eyes and contributed little to conversations. Even Lottie, who'd been born amongst the frost and ice of the Swiss Alps, was suffering from the cold. Oh, I wonder how this happened. Lottie, who was a small lump beneath her blanket, sneezed pitifully. The winters in Andermatt are far, far chillier than this. You must have been in England too long. Oh no, I hope not. I had never once had a cold in my life, and this... Lottie's words were punctuated yet again with the sneeze. It's simply terrible. How can I return to Andermatt now? Baby, you can't. I cannot? No. With your health being so brittle, you would faint clean away when the first snowflake lands on the tip of your nose. But... Lottie's bright blue eyes began to tremble. They filled with unshed tears. Her lower lip wobbled. If I never return to Andermatt, I cannot see my mama or papa, or Uncle Alphonse, and Uncle Rudolph, and Uncle Titus, and Uncle... It was at this point Lorena stopped listening. Lottie had too many aunts and uncles. The 12th of May, Thursday. We must be understaffed if I've been instructed to aid in such a menial task. How I walked along the pathway with quick steps, her dark hair fluttering behind her. Lorena tried to keep pace, but her legs were shorter than Tawa's, and it took more effort than it should have. Tawa's eyes were narrowed just slightly, and her footsteps fell with more purpose than usual. They struck a hard series of staccato talks against the wooden floor. This sudden shift in her rota really must have peeved her. Do you mind that much? Tawa glanced over at Lorena and blinked, as though only just aware of her presence. Oh my little Lori. I'm sorry if I was being snappish. I just don't care for mundane tasks like these. It's fine. Nobody likes dusting, apart from Ethel. She was rather fastidious about it. She cleaned our house every other day without prompting. A pause. Though, my house is far smaller than Bly. I must say, this Ethel sounds like a paragon of womanly virtues. She would make a good wife someday. I'm sure she'll make her you a happy husband indeed. Or beau. She's already set her sights on a future husband? She's mature for her age. Ugh. Just how old is this sister of yours? She's 15, but she acts so wise and mature you'd think she was older. Sometimes it feels like she's the one looking out for me. I would only hope that her husband-to-be is also 15. I'm sure you're a commendable older sister in your own right, Lori. Really? I can tell how deeply you care about others, and how seriously you take your job. Unlike you. Indeed, I am a scoundrel. The worst of the worst. Or they be flirting in the hallways and shit. An incorrigible knave. Tawa licked her lower lip with her pointed, cat-like tongue to emphasize the point, then started laughing. Lorena wanted to sigh at Tawa's antics, but she couldn't bring herself to. Sweeping the hallways of Bly alongside Tawa was far, far preferable to doing so with Pauline. Really, though. Tawa shook her head, her earlier good humor melting away. I need to find some way to keep myself entertained. Sweeping these hallways is deeply unappealing. I know, but you are a maid. Sweeping comes with the territory. Maid or not, I wasn't made for such hard labor. Lorena couldn't help but recall Emily's words. She paused, frowning. You prefer being paraded around in front of Lady Leonard's guests? It's a good deal less strenuous, that's for certain. But now, let's not talk about such things. Tawa waved Lorena's query aside with a wave of her right arm. It really is such a shame the sickness is going around. If it was only Ada who had fallen ill, the other maids might have been able to manage. But Pauline and Isobel too? Tawa tutted. I feel like I'm being cheated. Pauline's a crafty one. She'd try to wrangle a day off if she got an eyelash stuck in her eye. So you say, but I've seen you hold away in the garden stroking Figaro when you should be working. Shh. Tawa pressed a finger against her lips. She winked. That's our little secret. Well, I wasn't gonna tell anyone. Good. Or I would have to punish you. Tawa took a hold of Lorena's ponytail and gave it a tug. As was her wont, Lorena pushed her away, but that didn't stop Tawa from smiling. A smile that soon abated upon seeing a small, diminutive figure approaching them from the other end of the hall. Lady Constance came to a halt before the two maids. Her hands pressed firmly on her hips. On her lips there was a thin, cruel smile. All of Lady Constance's smiles were cruel, save perhaps the small and secretive one she had unwittingly shared with Lorena while playing the piano. But that Lady Constance was long gone now. Oh my. Fancy seeing you two here. What a stroke of good luck. Good luck? Tawa raised an eyebrow. Were you, perchance, looking for us? Why, yes, indeed I was. I'm very flattered. I can't imagine why an esteemed lady such as yourself would worry so over such a pair of maids. Normally I wouldn't. Today is a special occasion. Well, lucky us. Lucky you, indeed. Lady Constance's smile widened. Tawa remained cool and calm, her eyes fixated upon the Lady Constance's countenance, but Lorena quailed. Subconsciously, she found herself seeking refuge behind Tawa's back. She wasn't sure what it was, but Lady Constance looked more sadistic today than usual. Was she crowing over her newfound freedom, now that no governess had to rein her in? Or maybe she was embarrassed Lorena had seen her in such an unusually morose state a few days prior. Worried, perhaps, that Lorena's impression of her had started to soften, was Lady Constance trying to erase any trace of the wistful, lonely little girl had been playing Liszt's love dream? I'd like you two to clean an old bedroom out for me. It hasn't been used in years. My apologies, but we have orders from Miss Smith to clean the hallways. And who has more seniority in this household? Me or that old biddy? Miss Smith's orders are absolute, I'm afraid. We're low on manpower, and Lori and I have a large list of jobs to do already. Lori, is it? Lorena didn't like Lady Constance's tone. It was alright when Ada used this nickname, embarrassing though it was, but when it came from Lady Constance's lips, that was an entirely different matter. Well, let me make a few things clear for the both of you. When I asked you to do something, you should do it, unless you want me to tell my mother. You're using that threat again? It's not a mere threat. I'll really do it, you know. Yes. I don't doubt that, dear. I could say any number of unpleasant things about you, but at least you always keep your word. And what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. You can tell Lady Leonard if you like. It's no skin off my nose. She'll be cross with you. And she has been cross with me before, but she hasn't fired me yet. That's right, not yet. But she's not happy about the vase. If you put another toe out of line, you'll be in for it. I'm willing to take that risk. Now, if you'll excuse us. Tawa turned her back on Lady Constance. Her dark hair fluttered. We have work to attend to. Isn't that right, Lori? That's right. Lady Constance's lips curled. You might be willing to take that risk, but what about your precious Lori? Tawa's back stiffened. She turned, her eyes hard and flinty. What was that? I said, what about your precious Lori? You might be able to survive getting on my mother's bad side, but what about her? What about her? She has a poor reputation already. Mother knows about everything that happened in Hartwell. Lorna winced. Her heart tightened unpleasantly. And she only agreed to take her in because she's close friends with Lady Pickering. If this maid steps out of line, what do you think will happen to her? Lorena knew what would happen. That much was obvious. She'd be fired in a heartbeat. She didn't have the luxury of being indispensable like Tawa. Lorena was a plain, uninteresting English girl, and she had a checkered past to boot. I'd be turned out in an instant. And that's right. Mother's a benevolent woman, but she has to draw the line somewhere. It's bad enough that she has a hussy working for her. Lorena drew in an anxious breath. All of a sudden, she felt dizzy. Hussy. Was she really? Pauline had said as much, but she was a fellow maid like Lorena. Her words carried no real weight. When it came from Lady Constance, however... Now, you see here. Tawa stepped forward. She was bristling with indignation. Lorena is not a hussy. She just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, I don't pretend to know all the gory details, but I might be inclined to agree with you. Then why are you being so vile? Because I want the pair of you to do a job for me. I was trying to ask nicely, but if you insist on being stubborn, I'll have to play dirty. It's nothing personal, really. Not personal? Kind of is. That's right. I'm just exercising my authority. With, like, threats and blackmail and fear. Lorena grit her teeth together. How are these attacks impersonal? Dredging up Lorena's past was the most personal thing Lady Constance could have done. Lorena couldn't understand that girl for the life of her. Now, Lorena, one day you need to go off on Lady Constance. Lady Constance seemed determined to make Lorena's life miserable, but the young maid had no idea why. What had she ever done to her? Now, I want one of the old guest bedrooms on the second floor cleaned up. The one with the beige walls and the paintings. But why? You already have a perfectly good bedroom. My room is on the third floor. It's too close to the attic, and it's been very cold at nights. I'd like to relocate somewhere warmer. And I bet, when the summer heat starts up, you'll wish you were somewhere colder again. Yes, and what of it? You're giving us more work to do. Of course I am. You're maids, aren't you? You're supposed to work. You don't get paid to lounge around at your leisure. Now stop answering back and get to it. I don't have all day, unless you insist on being difficult. Lorna sighed. Her shoulders slumped. I suppose we don't have much of a choice. And that's right, you don't. Lady Constance smiled sweetly. Wouldn't this have been much less painful if you'd admitted that from the beginning? Alright, well, I'm gonna end that episode right there. See, I really enjoyed getting to know more about Constance, like, more about her, and seeing, like, her soft side. Because, you know, she is a child. And while that and all her past doesn't really, like, excuse her, like, foul behavior, you know, at least it is there for us to know, to explain it, you know? But yeah, I do enjoy hearing more about Lady Constance's past and, like, seeing her actually be, like, a little girl instead of, like, the little menace that she is. I do hope we get to see that more. I don't know how far I am in the game right now, but I do hope that, like, maybe at some point Lorena could be, like, somewhat friends with Constance, or maybe they just can, like, be on good terms or something. Right, I do want to see Constance have, like, a character arc. I think that'd be nice to see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!